Hello, everybody. So, this morning I want to share out of 1 Samuel 28, and I want to read an account of Saul and the final thing that he did wrong that more or less sealed his fate. And not just his fate, but all the fate of his sons. So it's going to be chapter 28 in 1 Samuel. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to read the whole chapter. About that time, the Philistines mustered their armies for another war with Israel. King Achish told David, "You and your men will be expected to join me in battle." "Very well," David agreed. "Now you will see for yourself what we can do." Then Achish told David, "I will make you my personal bodyguard for life." Excuse me. Meanwhile, Samuel had died, and all Israel had mourned for him. He was buried in Ramah, his hometown. And Saul had banned from the land of Israel all mediums and those who consult the spirits of the dead. The Philistines set up their camp at Shunem, and Saul gathered all the army of Israel and camped at Gilboa. When Saul saw the vast Philistine army, he became frantic with fear. He asked the Lord what he should do, but the Lord refused to answer him, either by dreams, or by sacred lots, or by the prophets. Saul then said to his advisors, "Find a woman who is a medium, so I can go and ask her what to do." His advisors replied, "There is a medium at Endor." So Saul disguised himself by wearing ordinary clothing instead of his royal robes. Then he went to the woman's home at night, accompanied by two of his men. "I have to talk to a man who has died," he said. "Will you call up his spirit for me?" "Are you trying to get me killed?" the woman demanded. "You know that Saul has outlawed all the mediums and all the consults of the spirits of the dead. Why are you setting a trap for me?" But Saul took an oath in the name of the Lord and promised, "As surely as the Lord lives, nothing bad will happen to you for doing this." Finally, the woman said, "Well, whose spirit do you want me to call up?" "Call up Samuel," Saul replied. When the woman saw Samuel, she screamed, "You've deceived me. You are Saul." "Don't be afraid," the king told her. "What do you see?" "I see a god coming up out of the earth," she said. "What does he look like?" Saul asked. "He is an old man wrapped in a robe," she replied. Saul realized it was Samuel, and he fell to the ground before him. Excuse me. Sorry about that. "Why have you disturbed me by calling me back?" Samuel asked Saul. "Because I am in deep trouble," Saul replied. "The Philistines are at war with me, and God has left me and won't reply by prophets or dreams. So I have called for you to tell me what to do." But Samuel replied, "Why ask me, since the Lord has left you and has become your enemy? The Lord has done just as he said he would. He has torn the kingdom from you and given it to your rival David. The Lord has done this to you today because you refused to carry out his fierce anger against the Amalekites. What's more, the Lord will hand you and the army of Israel over to the Philistines tomorrow, and you and your sons will be here with me. The Lord will bring down the entire army of Israel in defeat." Saul fell full length on the ground, paralyzed with fright because of Samuel's words. He was also faint with hunger, for he had eaten nothing all day and all night. When the woman saw how distraught he was, she said, "Sir, I obeyed your command at the risk of my life. Now do what I say, and let me give you a little something to eat so you can regain your strength for the trip back. But Saul refused to eat anything. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Then his advisors joined the woman in urging to eat. So he finally yielded and got up from the ground and sat on the couch. The woman had been fattening a calf, so she hurried out and killed it. She took some flour, kneaded it into dough, and baked unleavened bread. She brought the meal to Saul and his advisors, and they ate it. Then they went out into the night. So, Saul was the first king of Israel. God had anointed him, but then Saul made several careless mistakes. And the one that pretty much done him in anyways was the one he refused to wipe all the Amalekites out like God commanded him. He was to wipe out every man, woman, child, all of their livestock. I mean, he was supposed to completely wipe out anything that was to be associated with the Amalekites. In fact, he actually kept the king alive as a prisoner, and Samuel was the one who killed the king. But at that point, when Samuel went to leave him, Saul grabbed his robe, and a piece of Samuel's robe tore off in Saul's hand, and that's when Samuel told Saul that basically just like the way my robe rent, so will God tear Israel away from you and give it to your rival David. So now Saul started off real good. Like God had forbade people back in Deuteronomy not to, get advice from mediums or psychics or anybody who uses any means to call upon the dead or spirits. He commanded his people to wait on him, not try to figure out what's going on by other means. They were to wait and be patient and wait on God, to rely on God. Well, when Samuel saw this army, he freaks out. And God has already turned away from Saul, anyways, long before this incident. So God is already not, hasn't been answering Saul for a long time. And so Saul, despite the fact that he ordered any medium or anyone who consults in the spirits or calls upon the dead to be executed, he disobeyed his own law. A law which he put in place because God commanded him to do so. And not only did he break it, but he did so in hiding. He hid his identity of who he was. And the medium, the woman, was already terrified and wary because she knew what the law was. So she was thinking that this guy is trying to set up a trap to have her killed. And then Saul did something very, very bad. He made an oath and a promise to the woman, swearing to the Lord that nothing bad would happen to her for doing as he wished. Okay, so he basically swore a promise for her protection that nothing bad would have happened to her, when that itself directly went against God's commandments and laws. So when she sees Samuel spirit coming up out of the ground, she screams because she thinks she's seeing a god, but she's actually seeing Samuel. So Samuel, I would imagine, is a bit annoyed by this, and and goes about, it's like, why are you bothering me, type deal. And when Samuel told him, well, God's not answering me and the prophets aren't telling me anything, so I need you to tell me what to do about the situation I'm in. And Samuel just reminded Saul, look, God has fulfilled everything that he told you he was going to do. But now, because you did this, basically, not only are you going to die, but your sons are going to die, and all the Israelite army is going to die because you did this. So, definitely not the answer Saul wanted to hear. Saul pretty much just becomes comatose, and he has to be convinced and urged by not only the woman, but by his advisors that went with him to eat, because he hadn't eaten all day or all night because of his, I guess, anxiety and a worry got the best of him. But also, I imagine a lot has to do with it is, in his mind, he must be going, why am I going to eat? Why am I going to gather my strength? If I'm going to die tomorrow anyways. That type of scenario. I mean, I can imagine that's probably what was going through his mind. But the whole lesson is that Saul had such great potential. He disobeyed the Lord over and over again. And when you start going to leaning on other things than God to get answers that you need or to look for answers that you want, 9 times out of 10 it is definitely not going to end well. It might not be an immediate thing like with Saul here where Samuel's like, tomorrow you're gone, your sons are gone, the Israelite army is gone. It might not be that quick, but sooner or later, when you start relying on basically other people to tell you about events that are going to happen, one, they really don't have any clue. Two, this is one of Satan's tools to entrap people, is by using mediums, psychics, people who talk to the dead. It's a way to throw doubt, that Satan uses to throw doubt into God's authority and his power and his might and his wisdom. So, and I'll even go as far as people, when you read horoscopes, they're no better than a medium. Because horoscopes are typically written by astrologists who claim to be able to tell future events and what from the stars. But bottom line is, we need to rely on God. We need to be patient. We need to wait on God for his perfect timing. His timing is not our timing, and we have to remember that. God created us to obey and follow him, not for us to try to take shortcuts and find ways to get the answers that we want. Because in the end, we very well may get the answers that we definitely don't want. And that's going to cause more agony, distress, whatever, on ourselves. So with that, I love you guys. You have a blessed day, and we'll see you tomorrow.